What's going on, everyone? Happy Wednesday to everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well and having a great day so far. It is time now for the Wednesday edition of the Climate Update for Wednesday, January 31st, 2024. That's right, it's the last day of January, and we're going to be starting off February on a very stormy note. Today we're going to talk about some records that were broken, the storm systems hitting the west coast, the weather for the rest of the United States, and of course that potential storm off the southeast coast of the United States. If you're new to my channel, this is where we do the daily climate update, talking about the weather across the United States and weather records around the world and weather extremes around the world. Hence the name Climate Data Report. If you like this type of content, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below, and you'll get a video almost every day. Alright, starting off, today the official snow measurement at Anchorage, Alaska was 37 inches. The last time the snow measurement in Anchorage was 37 inches was in 1959. Yes, we have to go back a long time since the last time that has happened. And they said, and yes, they are aware that they are running out of room on the measuring stick. And look at this. Yes, it's so much snow that, yes, they've almost run out of room on their measuring stick. Already, Sacramento, California region sees 3 straight days of record-breaking high temperatures. The Sacramento-Stockton region recorded its 3rd straight day of record-breaking temperatures on Tuesday, according to the National Weather Service. Sacramento and Stockton broke or tied the record high temperature for January 30th that was set in 1976, according to the Weather Service. It's the National Weather Service out of the United States. The city of Sacramento reached 73 degrees on Tuesday, matching the former record high. Sacramento Executive Airport also tied its record of 69, which was set back in 2015. Taking a look at the national picture, you can see some people in between in the central U.S. are being treated to some sunshine today. Yet again, there are clouds that are ongoing in the northeast. I promise eventually these clouds will clear out. Here's that Clipper system. It's now developing a weak coastal system that's going to exit off to the east. And then taking a look here across western Texas, you do see some clouds moving in for you. And then you see at the corner of your eye here in the Pacific Northwest, this big system. Let's take a closer look at that. Here it is. You can see here this big spin that's ongoing in the Gulf. It's providing heavy rainfall to California and the Pacific Northwest, and that is going to continue for the rest of the day. Take a look at this. You can see here very heavy rainfall across portions of California, Portland, Oregon, Washington, Seattle. I mean, look at this. I want to do a little bit of a zoom in here of Northern California. You can see here, very heavy rainfall is ongoing in this area at this time. Flooding is expected and heavy mountain snows with multiple feet of snow being possible. There's a wide array of warnings that continue in the west, such as high wind warnings. 55 to 65 to even 75 mile per hour gusts are likely in the higher terrain. Winter storm warnings continue in the higher terrain. There's even a blizzard warning that is up in portions of Alaska. You can see this here. Extreme North Alaska. Yeah, that's a blizzard warning that you're seeing. So active times in the western portion of the U.S., while the east is relatively quiet for now, but the southeast we will have to continue to watch. And there is the introduction of a potential severe weather threat for late this week in Texas. We'll get to that in just a moment. How much rainfall are we expecting over the next 1 through 7 days? Well, you can see it's expected to continue to be high, especially in California. And you now see the addition just north of LA area, where there is now a isolated 10-inch plus amount of rainfall. For some locations, that's a year's worth of rainfall in just a span of 5 to 7 days. So this is extreme. It's going to cause flooding. It's going to cause significant problems. You can see, look at this precipitation in the mountainous region. That's a lot of precipitation. The majority of that in the higher elevations is going to fall as snow. Several feet of snow. In fact, 4 to 8 feet of snow are possible in this region. Then you look at the northeast, relatively quiet. The Great Lakes, relatively quiet. Southeast, here's that storm system we're going to be watching in the southeast, and it is something that we are concerned about as we head into the weekend and next week. Alright, moving on. Let's take a look at the Storm Prediction Center. Next 2 days, not expecting any severe weather. However, on Friday, A marginal risk has now been added for portions of Texas. It's nothing to go crazy over. It's not a big risk, but a marginal risk has been added, and there could be some isolated severe weather in portions of Texas, and this would be the possibility for a severe wind gust, and maybe even a brief tornado threat at this time. Could this get upgraded down to a slight risk, or up to a slight risk down the line? It's possible, but right now it's at a smart marginal risk, and it's something we will have to watch going forward, and I suspect we may see another risk added beyond this in day 4 for portions of the Gulf Coast, or maybe even portions of Florida. That could be a slightly bigger threat going down the line. All right, taking a look at the NAM model here, you can see our storm system exits stage right in the southeast, the weak Clipper system. And then we have the other system up in the west coast that is going to continue. And you can see here, as I advance this, the heavy rainfall just continues for California. Take a look at the northeast as we head into Thursday. Yes, a cold front and Clipper-like system. There's going to be a low with this on its northeast side. A low is going to move through Maine. A couple inches of snow are possible for you. South of there, a cold front moves through. Not expecting much in the way of activity. You can see here the NAM is trying to show some shower and snow shower activity. I think it's slightly overdone with what it's showing. On the west coast, you can see even once the main area of precipitation comes through, you don't completely clear out. You continue to see some showers. And looking here at the end of the NAM, you can see here's that energy comes into the southeast where you could see a possible severe weather threat over the weekend. Let's take a look beyond 84 hours, taking a look at the Canadian model. We'll use the Canadian model today, and you can see here as I advance this, the heavy rain continues in California. That energy comes southeast. Here's your severe weather threat on Friday in Texas, and that will continue throughout the weekend. You can see there will definitely be a severe weather threat for the Florida Panhandle and Florida as this low starts to develop. And you can see as I advance this, two things happen here. One, the low is over portions of Alabama and Georgia, and that will eventually transfer its energy to the southeast Atlantic. And you also see at the same time, look on the west coast. Here's the next storm system. That comes, and it's going to be a slow moving system. It's going to be a long duration event. And this, at this point, we are now at Monday, where the energy in the east is starting to transfer off to the coast, and the storm system in the west is just battering California with heavy rains and mountain snows. Take a look at this here on the Canadian. We've been talking about there's a question whether or not this storm is going to be slow or exit quickly to the east, and I think we're starting to see our verdict come into play where this storm, while yes it may be slow, it's going to gradually pull away from the coast, but it will not move to the north and come up the coast. That is pretty much set in stone. If it does come north, it's going to be far enough to the east that the only impacts will be maybe some increased wave activity along the Atlantic coast, up and down the coast. The biggest impacts from waves are going to be off the Carolinas and South Carolinas, where beach erosion and coastal flooding is possible. In the west coast, your unsettled weather is going to continue into much of next week. In fact, let's take a look at total rainfall amounts from the Canadian. Yeah, look at this. This is really impressive, and I am going to take this into a closer zoom. You can see here the Canadian showing what we saw from the Weather Prediction Center. Isolated 10-inch amounts between today's storm and everything that happens next week. That is a lot of rainfall. Rivers are going to be running high, and there is going to be definitely the risk of flooding. Not to mention, there's also going to be wind with that next storm. So if any trees are weakened, there could also be power outages that occur from this storm. All right, let's take a look at the GEFS model and see what that is showing for everything. And you can see here on the GEFS, here's a storm system that goes off the east coast. You can see it does exit relatively quickly, though there is somewhat of a lean to the northwest, saying maybe some models or some members of the GEFS model state it's still going to be slower. You can also see on the GEFS, here's the strong storm system for California next week. Doesn't move all that fast. It's a very slow moving system. It's going to probably start up on Sunday night and go through much of next week, at least into a good portion of the day on Thursday. That's several days of unsettled weather. All right, let's take a look at the extended forecast now, shall we? And we can take a look at the extended temperatures expected across the United States. Starting off here with the GEFS once again, and you can see here, warming. Temperatures are going to be above average at places like the Northeast. They'll be slightly closer to normal behind the cold front that comes through on Friday, but look what happens as we come to next week. You can see slightly below average in the southeast, definitely going to be below average in the west coast where that stormy weather continues. But look up here in the central plains, Great Lakes, northeast, you can see not a lot of cold air is to be found. You don't see big sustained cold air diving in. Take a look at this. You can see even as I advance this into next week, nothing major in the cold air department. The central U.S. is going to be well above average, and in fact, maybe a couple records get broken. The southeast, because of that storm system being down there, slightly below average temperatures, and that includes you, Florida, places like Miami, Orlando, Atlanta, Georgia, slightly below average temperatures for you. And at this point, we're into the middle of next week. Chicago, well above average temperatures. Los Angeles, California, well below average temperatures. There's this wedge that sets up right in between where we have the two storm systems. However, as that storm system exits the picture off the southeast Atlantic, look what happens in the longer range. The whole entire east coast, from the Mississippi River on eastward, well above average temperatures being shown on the GEFS at this time, with slightly below average temperatures in the southwest because of the unsettled pattern that is likely going to continue, get this, into the middle of February at this point. I am expecting there to be more unsettled weather. We may even see more large storm systems that come up in the middle of February. This is a typical El Nino atmospheric river that is in place in portions of the West Coast, and that is going to continue. And I don't see any sustained warmth coming anytime soon in the east. Now we're in a very long range, unreliable period, 2 weeks out on the GEFS, and you still don't see any sustained cold air coming down in the east. Winter is not going to be present. It may feel like winter at nighttime, but really it's not going to be all that cold, with temperatures being anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees above average in the northeast, and maybe even 20 degrees above average in places of the central U.S. Alrighty, folks, we'll have another climate update again tomorrow with more on all of these storm threats and the potential for above average temperatures across a good portion of the country starting next week into the following week. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, maybe you enjoy getting a daily climate and weather update, subscribe to my channel down below. And of course, if you know anyone in the path of these storms that are expected, by all means share this with them so they get the most accurate and up-to-date information. I try to be accurate. Do I always get it right? No, but hey, I try my best. Alrighty, see you all again next time. Have a great day, everyone, and thanks for watching.